Welcome to the Distressed Business Playbook.
Welcome to the Distressed Business Playbook with attorney Todd Duffy, founder of Todd E. Duffy, PLLC. Todd is a New York bankruptcy attorney who works with businesses and decision makers navigating financial pressure, restructuring, and complex legal challenges. I'm Evan Mack, and today we're talking about the biggest mistakes business owners make before filing for bankruptcy. Todd, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Todd, can you walk us through your background and the type of bankruptcy work you focus on today, especially with businesses?
Sure. Um, it's interesting. I started my career as a paralegal and
Wow.
doing primarily bankruptcy work. So when I say I've started this from the ground up, it really was. So I was a paralegal in and around the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area where I grew up. And after that, after 6 years, I went to law school specifically to become a bankruptcy lawyer. And I did well enough in law school to finish in 2.5 years. And I became a law clerk to a bankruptcy judge for a year. And then I was associated with some large firms. And then after trying some small firms and other people's firms, I decided it really didn't fit for me. And I started my own firm. And then for 4 years, I took a break. I was a partner in a large firm and the chair of their bankruptcy group. And then I started this firm again, and here we are.
Amazing. So let's kind of talk about it, though. What tends to be happening inside a business by the time bankruptcy even becomes part of the conversation?
Well, I got 2 words to describe them, and then I can explain them a little more. One is chaos, and the other is denial. Uh, So the chaos comes because people are scrambling. They're trying desperately to keep their business alive. And most people, especially when you're talking about small businesses, there's really very little space between the small business and the actual person because they've invested themselves wholeheartedly into their business, of course. So they're not really ready to accept that the business is either failing or having a hard time. And so they are doing everything they can think of to save money or to save expenses. So they're cutting, really. They're laying people off. They're cutting overhead, and once they've done that, it limits the amount of growth that a business can do. And then the other is, denial. They're really not ready to accept the fact that they have to do something to fix the business trajectory.
So where do you see business owners misread their situation or wait too long to take action?
Well, there's 2 things. One is that you can't cut your way to solvency ever. And that because of what I mentioned before, which is that it limits your growth as a business as a whole. And the second thing is that once you start laying people off, it kills morale, which means productivity is going, which means that your overall profits are sagging. And it only kind of deepens the cycle.
With that being said, though, Todd, what kinds of, decisions get made in that period before filing, that end up, making things harder later?
Well, I think that a liquidity crisis is the biggest thing I see. So, for example, they wait until money is just about running out. And if that's the case and there's very little money coming in, you have a difficult time to pay your expenses while you're in bankruptcy. Everything has to get paid. Your day-to-day expenses have to get paid. Your professionals have to get paid. Everybody has to get paid while you're in bankruptcy. After that, right, you need to figure out a way to generate that liquidity so you can come out of bankruptcy. And you have to show the bankruptcy court that you're a cash flow positive company.
So how do the cash flow issues, creditor pressure, and legal exposure start to interact once things begin to unravel?
So it depends on, well, I hate to sound like a lawyer because all lawyers say it
It
depends,
depends. It
right?
depends.
But I will say this, it depends on which creditors are giving you the hardest time. So in bankruptcy, there are critical vendors, people that are necessary for the day-to-day existence of a bankruptcy or of a bankrupt debtor. With those companies, your instinct is to, as a business owner, your instinct is to just pay them and keep them quiet. But you kind of can't do that. It raises other problems. You can have all kinds of litigation as a result of that. And there's no guarantee they'll continue to do business with you in the future. So you're better off waiting until after the bankruptcy is filed, where you have the protection of the court, and you can assure that the things that you absolutely need for your business are going to be able to continue.
So, Todd, what are some of the, less obvious consequences that can come up from, talking or taking the wrong approach before filing?
So digging the hole deeper is the way I like to describe it. So if you're spending all of your money ahead of time, then you don't have money to pay for your day to day. You can't pay your landlord. You can't pay your employees. You can't pay for your overhead. On top of that, you can't pay your lawyers, which I think everybody would agree is an absolutely essential thing that you must pay your lawyers. Did I mention you must pay your lawyers? Okay. So I think that you need to have that kind of liquidity in order to perpetuate the business going forward. And if you wait too long and the business has no liquid funds available, then you're relying on some sort of hard money lender, which means that they're charging you an outrageous interest rate. You're also relying on some sort of a collateralized um, situation where you're collateralizing either an asset of the business or even a personal asset, especially in small businesses. Again, this is how these small businesses are investing. The owners are investing themselves in their business, and so they're mortgaging their homes or taking equity out of their homes and then going ahead and investing that in their business.
So when a business owner handles things early and more strategically, how does that change what's possible for them?
Well, then, most bankruptcy lawyers go into a bankruptcy with a plan. And business owners usually have a 5-year plan when they're working in their businesses. And so w- we talked about chaos briefly. If you've got chaos, then you're not planning, you're flailing. If you're planning this stuff early and you see where your problems are and you know that you've consulted with an expert, a financial advisor or a bankruptcy lawyer, those types of bankruptcies will usually end up better for the owner than it would if you're doing things on the fly. So I can be even more specific about that. When you file a bankruptcy, you are required to file what's known as schedules and statements of financial affairs. You're giving the public a snapshot of your finances at that moment. And usually what I really like to do if I can is to get involved with the debtor early, get up to my elbows in what the business is, understand where the business is coming from and where the revenue sources are coming from, and then fill out the schedules and statement of financial affairs prior to filing. Because it shows, not only does it show creditors who are seeing these things that the business is together, that the business has a possibility of success going forward, but it also shows the court that. And when the court starts a case with a positive sort of relationship with the debtor, then the outcome is likely to be just as positive.
And before we wrap things up, Todd, what's your favorite thing about what you do?
I'll say things that a lot of lawyers don't say. I absolutely love being a bankruptcy lawyer. And there are so many different possibilities and different ways of being helpful to the average business owner or even to creditors, small business creditors who come in. But bankruptcy is an intellectual discipline, and it has a very specialized set of rules. And having spent more than 25 years doing this, I feel at home when I walk into a bankruptcy court. And it is a lot more comfortable for me to be in that kind of court. I've been in state court. I've been in a step away from the United States Supreme Court. But
Wow.
walking into a bankruptcy court is like coming home for me. And it's one of the things that it's a small bar. That means that there's only a small group of lawyers who do this kind of work. And they're all very bright and they're all very collegial. And so it satisfies a number of things for me. It's intellectual. The bar is collegial, and the clients in who are smart and who are helpful, and who are invested emotionally and otherwise and financially in their own businesses are not only appreciative of the work I do, but are collegial and collaborative. And any good lawyer will tell you that the best type of client is a smart client, and you want to have a client who knows their limitations, who knows they're not an expert in everything. I certainly am not an expert in everything, and wants to be helpful, and poses different points of view.
Good stuff. Good stuff, Todd. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. That's it for today's episode of the Distressed Business Playbook. If you'd like to learn more about Todd Duffy and his work with businesses facing financial pressure and restructuring challenges, you could visit teduffylaw.com. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review so more business owners can find the guidance they need. We'll see you all next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.